Hello folks, how are you all doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Give me a sec. Alrighty. Hey Courts, how's it going? Sergio, Duppy Man, Mr. Awesome, Sam, Alex, how's it going, dude? How is it going? Good evening from drizzly Lincolnshire. The weather doesn't know what it wants to do where I am. It's a bit odd. It's got no idea what it wants to do. I think it's trying to make its mind up. It's nice though. Like, it's been, the sun's been out, but then we get a bit of rain. When the sun's out again, we get a bit of rain, that kind of a thing. But we are building some models today. Indeed we are. Indeed we are. For Exile Fest, we're getting the Blade Guard veterans done up and finished for Exile Fest on the 21st of June. So, that's going to be something we're getting into in a little bit. Big Bummer says, howdy, 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 North. You were right about me talking about my gal being silly. She gave me an ear ringing for making that joke on her height. Yeah. There won't be a camera on me today because we are making some models. You'll probably be able to see in a sec. In fact, you probably see now. Let me just put it on. There you go. There we are. Here they are, bad boys. Blade Guard veterans. Now, I like to convert my models, and the Exiled Blades are swordsmen, so they don't generally... They generally dual wield, because they're expert swordsmen, so... this guy is going to be green stuffed, so the center of his body will be green stuffed, and it'll all meld in quite nicely. But this is what the first one looks like of the three. I've got another two over there in the corner. But as you can see, he is dual wielding, right? He's got his sword out, well, he's got his sword ready. And as an Exiled Blade, he is a very, very, very good swordsman. So that's the story. I like models that tell a story, especially if you've got something as... you know, storytelling as a Space Marine chapter. You really do need to be telling a story with your models. And that's what we do with this guy. He is an Exiled Blade, and so he is wielding two blades. Two swords. He's ready to go. Again, it's going to take him a while to, you know, get going, I suppose. I think we have a few more as well. You're getting a big preview here of the Exiled Blades and what they look like and what they're going to be doing. So, let me just... I will administer to chat in just a sec. Let me just do this. Alrighty. There we are. So, more Blade Guard. Right. The mold lines will be removed. Don't worry. But more Blade Guard. So standing in a ready position. You know, duelist. Ready to go. Ready to swing. Ready to take heads. Same with this bloke here. Right. Ready position. Ready to swing. So, there we are. We have the champion, one of the 3 that we have. So he is going to be a character on his own. In the Exiled Blade, just standing around. As you can see. There we go. And of course the Chapter Master, who is not done yet. His base needs doing. But the Chapter Master is there, ready to go. He is pretty much done now. Few bits to tidy up around the face. But in terms of who he is and what he does, he is pretty much finished. And that is the Chapter Master pretty much ready to fight now. Again, few things need to be sorted out with him. But as things go, he's pretty much done. Pretty much finished. And the thing that I really like about this is that this camera picks out all of the flaws. Like every single flaw you put on your miniature, this camera will pick out. And I'm picking some out on the Chapter Master. But like, it's not as obvious as I thought it was going to be. So I think when I tidy it up, it's going to look even better. But yeah, that is the Chapter Master of the Exiled Blades, ready to go. He's going to be leading the force, Exile Fest. So you've got a good roundabout idea of what the Exiled Blades are, I suppose. Do you run the Exiled Blades as Battle Brothers or Prime Brothers or combined books? I run them as Blood Brothers, so Blood Angels, because in one-page rules you get exploding hits, right? So you roll a 6, you hit again and hit again and hit again. I think as duelists that works really well, you know, because we are bladesmen, right? But I do have a unique thing that I'm going to do for this tournament. And that is only swordsmen, and it's only models with swords benefit from that rule. So normal bolter brothers, bolter guys don't get it, right? I won't let... a guy called Julian is going to be playing the Exiled Blade, and I'll mention that to him. I say, nope, you only get that rule if you charge him with your bladed brethren, right? And there's a lot of them, right? I think there's 20 assault intercessors with swords. Lots to play with there. The Chapter Master, the character, main character, 6 Blade Guard, right? So most of the fighting strength, the punch of the Exiled Blades is them being in combat, right? Charging into combat, blade on blade, with the foulest of blasphemies, right? Big Bum says, I'm currently painting my Eldari Corsairs today and making a single Kriegsman for my pal as a birthday gift. Good man. Supersonic said, good evening, North. Have you had a good week? I have, yeah, man. It's been good. It's been good. Built up an old Space Marine commander earlier on my way to having 1 custom Marine from each chapter. Nice, nice. I've got a mate who does the Last Wall doing that. The Imperial Fists. Alex says, I actually picked up Imhotep the Stormlord, and I'm afraid to paint him since it's been about a year and I've lost the skills. You never lose the skills, man. I promise. You never lose them. You never lose them. No shields is a great look on those. Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. That's the thing. Normal Blade Guard use shields, right? Exiled Blades, Blade Guard, think that's cowardly. Like, you know, that's... No, right? You go in both blades, and you're there to duel. You're there to go in, right? Big Bummer says, oh, I've got my own chapter in the works. Figured I'd take a Horus Heresy Praetorian model with a power axe and make him the chapter master. The armor just looks fabulous. Cool, man. Awesome. You're going to do another lore video on them, says Ed. I will do, yes. I think as we get towards Exile Fest in a few weeks, one of the last videos I'll do before Exile Fest will be a full lore video on the Exiled Blades. Yeah, with a full showcase of a few units as well. That's what we're going to do. Eric says, I use those shields to make Crusaders for my Tempestus Scion Tempesta Primes. Cool, man. Tempestus Scions to Tempesta Primes. That's hard to say. Big Bomber says, would that rule apply to chainswords or just normal blades? We don't use chainswords, okay? So we use normal swords. So power swords, Grey Knight swords, converted, right? We don't use chainswords. Again, chainswords are for butchers. We're not butchers, we're duelists. Mr. Awesome React says, are Exiled Blades loyalist, traitor, or renegade? They are loyalist. Sergio, painting a Legionnaires unit for my Night Lords. Also need to finish my Chaos Predator and Hellbrute. Awesome, man. Yeah, they are loyalists, but they have, shall we say, links to traitors. Alright, so let's get these built anyway. They have some links to traitors, so essentially, they're really, 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 really good at fighting demons. And no one quite knows why. They're not like the Grey Knights, in that the Grey Knights are innately very good at fighting demons, right? They're very good at killing them. They're not like that at all. Instead, they have a lot of rituals of, you know, banishment, things like that. It's almost as if they are reversing things that they already know, if you know what I'm saying. It's almost as if these guys used to be really, really, really good at summoning demons, and now they're really, really, really good at banishing them, right? Now, they are a second founding chapter, so they've been around for about 10,000 years, been around for a long time. We don't need the instructions with this, because we're going to be converting them, so we can throw that away now. In fact, I'll put it over here. There we go. So, they are, again, really good at fighting demons, because one of the bits of 40k lore that I think is really underappreciated and underrepresented is the fact that guns don't really get rid of demons, right? No one really says anything about that. Guns don't really get rid of demons. Close combat does. Because close combat is personal, right? You're putting your emotions into it. And in doing so, the demon is weakened by your, you know, your prowess, things like that, you know, and you're able to kill it. That's something that Aenid Thiel comes across. The Ultramarines guy. He's like, wow, these demons are really weak to close combat. Yeah, because you're throwing your passion into it. So everything about the Exiled Blades is essentially made to fight demons, right? Made to fight things of the warp. Without any Grey Knight powers. So they're not as good as Grey Knights, you know. They're not like going to be walking into like a full demonic invasion and just winning all the time. That's not going to happen, right? But they're really, really, really good at it. Yeah. A generic username. 100% the sales of Blade Guard probably skyrocketed after Amazon's secret level episode. Maybe, yeah, maybe. North, get some proper plastic cement. Ditch that superglue unless you are basing. Superglue goes brittle over time and fails. Best to melt and fuse, in my opinion. Cheers. I like... So this superglue, Loctite, I've used it for years, and it's never let me down. I've had models with me for upwards of 5 to 10 years, and it never goes brittle, it never weakens. I've dropped them downstairs, I've dropped them off tables, always been fine. So this Loctite stuff, very, very, very good. It's not liquid, it's gel, and it does fuse, it melts. So it actually melts the plastic. You'll see it in a minute. It does melt the plastic. A friend of mine in Games Workshop back in the day turned me onto it, onto Loctite. Because GW poly cement is shit. It's not very good. So we use this on our models in Games Workshop. So there you go. Zebo says North, get some... Oh yeah, you've said that before. Alright, let's start building. And I like to build these one at a time. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to have... You see this bit here where we have the sword being wiped clean there. We're going to have one of those guys, I think. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think we're going to go with that. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with him. Yeah, we're going to go with that. Scuba says, never had an issue with superglue on my models. Yeah, well, there are horror stories, and quite rightly so, because some types of superglue aren't very good at gluing models together. It's quite simple. I mean, actually, Generic is quite right there in what he's saying. Or she, I don't know. In that superglue, a lot of superglues aren't very good for gluing models together, right? They're not very good at it at all. They're actually very, very, very weak at it. And they do go brittle, and they do start to go off after time. But there are certain glues that are very, very, very good. And one of them is Loctite. It is very good. The only problem with Loctite is that you don't get a lot in the bottle. You get about enough in one of these bottles, which will cost you about, I don't know, £3-4. You get enough for maybe 10 intercessors in one of these dudes, right? But it's so dependable and long-lasting that I generally am alright with it. Now, what's on the other side of that? It's a hand, okay. It's a left hand. So I've been talking to another YouTuber by the name of John the Wise, and we've been setting together a cyberpunk role-playing campaign. All of you will know this as well, but if you've been watching the channel, I suppose. But I'd like to show you, in a minute, the logo for that series. By the way, I like to think I'm the everyman in terms of doing models. In that, you're not going to see me getting... I've got a hobby knife around here somewhere. I'm not going to be going in here with hobby knives and things because I'm not that guy. I take a lot of pride in my models, but I'm not that guy. Like, I get rid of the obvious, you know, mold lines. But I don't go around every single model with a hobby knife. And if you don't either, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. You know? Although I will admit, this is my favourite bit of the hobby. This bit here. Converting. Doing a bit. Whoops. Right, let's glue this bad boy together, shall we? Yeah, we're only building today. We're not painting. The Exiled blades will not be finished by the time... See, with Loctite, that's all you need. A tiny little bit there. The Exiled blades will not be finished by the time we get to Exiled Fest. I'm going to do as many of them as I can, work permitting. But, yeah, they won't all be finished by the time we get there. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately. They will at least be undercoated, I will say that. At least undercoated. I need some greaves. There we go, there's one. I'm trying... Does anybody know who Mike Pondsmith is? I'm trying to get an interview with Mike Pondsmith. Trying. I'm speaking to people. If you don't know who that is, that's the guy who made Cyberpunk. So he created, not the genre, the tabletop game. Cyberpunk 2013 and 2020. And Red, too. So the setting the game is in, the video game, 2077, he created that. And he worked on the game, too, as like a consultant. Weirdly, he's been a video game person for a long time. He's not really... He's a game designer, but he's mostly into video games. He mostly develops video games and stuff. The greaves are always the worst part for mold lines, man. There we go. Alrighty. This one is a... I'm going to say it's a left. I'm going to say... No, this one's left because the... If you want to figure out which of your greaves is which, the purity seal is always on the outside. Right? Purity seal, always on the outside. I wouldn't have liked Mike Pondsmith to voice Dexter Deshawn, because Dexter... you know, he had a lot to do with the game, but also, you know, he's a bad guy. Spoiler. And I don't equate his voice to a bad guy. I like him too much. There aren't very many people that I envy in life, but his son, I think his name's Cody. Dude, I envy that guy so much. Imagine your dad having a job. You're a nerd, and your dad has a job. His job is making tabletop role-playing games. Not only that, but he runs a successful tabletop role-playing game-making company. And your job is to help him. Like, what is this, man? What is this? Alright, I think we're going... Need to have a little look-see. Okay, I can cover that up. Tell you what I'll do. One sec. I've got some bits here I could use. Here they are. Some nice bits. I don't even remember where I got these from, to be honest with you. Right, we're taking this bit off, definitely. There we go. Cool. Okay, this scabbard is going on the other side as well. Never be afraid to mess with your models. It's much easier to fix a conversion mistake than it is to fix a painting mistake. I'm serious with that when I say that. At least for me. It's far easier, you know. Whoops, I knocked you there. 2077 is a masterpiece. I'm glad you said it, yes. I agree. 2077 is a masterpiece. Now, it is, as you said, a shame they rushed it out the door. But these days, the only reason I'm not playing it right now is because I've literally played it. I finished it a little while ago on the live stream channel, on the Let's Play channel. So, that's the only reason why. Alright, let's go... to the chat. Generic says, a Cyberpunk role-playing game, haven't played it yet, but it's 100% going to be better than that god-awful Cyberprank 2077. So, again, sometimes, you know when you're on YouTube, by the way, I haven't frozen, I'm literally holding this thing in place. Being on YouTube, you come across a lot of people who are, like, stuck in stasis. And what I mean by that is that they form... I'm not saying this is what you've done, Generic, I'm just, you know... but when I speak to people about Cyberpunk, they go, it was awful in 2020. That means it's awful. It's just awful. And it's never going to be great. It's like, okay, well, you sure? Like, you know, you sure you don't want to go back and play it? No, it's awful. It's awful. How can you support it? It's like, dude, it's a fucking amazing video game and they fixed it. So, and I like it, you know? It's amazing. It's an amazing... It's empirically, man, an amazing video game. It's phenomenal. And I love it. I love it. I really, really envy people who haven't played it yet. Or played it in 2020 and haven't played it since its updates. Dude, you're so lucky. Does anybody else have those video games where you know, somebody hasn't played it yet and you're like, fuck you, dude. You're so lucky, man. You're so lucky. You know? Have you seen the new edition of Horus Heresy trailer with Malkador and Valdor? Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I'm still on Xbox One, and I heard how Cyberpunk was very glitchy. Is it at least worth getting a cheap copy now? Not on Xbox One, no. No. But that's another thing. Like, I'm not somebody who's, like, elite. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I'm not somebody who's elitist when it comes to hardware. But Cyberpunk 2077 was never meant for PS4 and Xbox One. Right? They very quickly... you know, outstripped that hardware, right? Originally, it was supposed to be on Xbox One and PS4, but it very, very, very quickly outstripped the hardware. Like, you know, this game can't be released on those consoles. It's too powerful. There's too much going on, and it's going to suck, right? And they knew that as well. They released it anyway, which they shouldn't have done. This game should not have come out on that hardware, right? So I'm completely with you on that. I think that's absolute bullshit, and they should never have brought it out on old-gen hardware. But... I also think that if you've got old-gen hardware, and you complain about Cyberpunk not being able to run on it, that's like saying... I don't know. What's that like saying? It's like saying... I want to cut the sky, please. Well, you can't. Well, that's bullshit. Well, I'm sorry, man. That's just how it is. Like, you don't have hardware that's good enough to run the game. You know, like... You know, PS5, minimum to play Cyberpunk at the moment. Plus, also, if you're on old stuff, you don't get the newest update, which 2.0, which basically pushes all of the graphics and all of the gameplay, fixes most of the issues, and you don't get Phantom Liberty, the DLC, which is probably one of the best things I've ever played, the Phantom Liberty, the DLC. It's absolutely awesome. So, you know. Yeah, generic. I think they said it runs surprisingly well because they didn't think it'd run at all. You know? So technically they can go, well, we're not lying. You know, it does run surprisingly well. We didn't think it'd run at all. You know? Scuba says, I'm one of those nerds who is deeply invested in Star Citizen. Loving the project, albeit slowly it's coming along. I've heard good things, man, about Star Citizen. I've heard good things. Heard good things. Now, I'm not going to go to it because I like to play finished games. You know, quite simply. Ironically, I really like Cyberpunk, but you know. Ringbearer says, I think I preferred the skill trees on release. Seems more open at the time. You mean Cyberpunk? It's more open, but it's much harder to create builds on the old one. Plus... Motherfucker. Go in praise, you prick. Do you know what? I'll just leave that. I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that. Yeah, the new stuff is basically... it's a lot easier to create builds and to go, okay, my character's going to do this or that. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot easier to do that, which I really like. You know, I much prefer it that way. But each to their own. Each to their own. There we go. Nice and easy. Alrighty. What are people saying in the chat? Scuba says, Stalker 2 released with a lot of bugs and a non-working living AI NPC system, but it's been worked on extensively and it's in a really good place now. Is it? I might have to go back to it then. On your recommendation. Yeah, if it is looking good. That was one of the things I hated, was the lack of AI. That's the whole point of Stalker, man. The whole point of Stalker is that you have a living world there that fights itself even without you. You know what I mean? Generic says, I'm going to be brutally honest, Keanu ruined Cyberpunk for me, namely due to the fact he never shuts up or goes away. Do you know what, Generic? I just think you categorically don't get along with the game, and that's fine. But, like... So, there was a review back in the day by someone called Worth a Buy about with The Witcher 3. Now, I used to really like Worth a Buy. In fact, I think he's a nice guy, but, like, you know. But he tore apart The Witcher 3, saying it was one of the worst games he's ever played. And I was just sitting there going, dude, you're just being an fucking contrarian. Like, everybody knows The Witcher 3 is a good game. Either you haven't played it properly, or you're determined not to like it, right? That's what I mean. Like, either you haven't played it, or you're absolutely determined not to like it before you even go in. I've been accused of this as well with Dark Souls, right? And that Keanu comment reminds me of that. It's like because Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk, for me, I didn't think it'd work. I honestly didn't think it would work. I was thinking, no, this is going to be too on the nose. You know, oh God, you know, I like Keanu Reeves, but like, fucking hell, man, like, he's in everything. But somehow, some way, it worked for me. Like, I was like, yeah, this is really good, and I really enjoyed it. And it's one of those things where, like, for instance, right? I'm not hugely a fan of Baldur's Gate 3. I know that's basically illegal for most people. All right, fine. But you know, I'm just it's good. Yeah, it's great, and I enjoy Baldur's Gate 3. You know, but I'm not one of these people who says it's like the greatest thing ever made by a human, because it just isn't. Right? There are parts of it where I'm just like, ugh, you know, the Underdark bit. I'm just like, nah, man, this sucks. This sucks balls. I hate this. Right? Multiple other bits too, like it locks you out of certain things. So, for a game that has like all this limitless quote unquote, you know, choice. All right then, what if I want to keep Karlach alive? Oh, you need to save this one monk in a random place, or she's gonna die. Right? Do I get any choice to go back and sort that out? No. Great. You know, shit like that. You know. I don't know. It's one of those things that just didn't hit me. I was like, okay, everyone else likes this, and that's fine, and I'm allowed to not like it as much as they like it. You know, fair dues. So I've been there. Don't worry about that. I've been there. But be very careful not to be like, no, this is a terrible game, because absolutely that's wrong. That's just wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like this is what I'm saying. I don't like Baldur's Gate 3 as much as everybody else. In fact, I think it's overrated. But it's not a bad game. You know, there are amazing pieces in that game that I'm just like, absolutely, that's amazing, right? But it's not for me as much as it is for everybody else. I didn't get the same out of it that everybody else did. But I still admit it's an amazing game, right? I hear more and more like Reddit arguments of, no, let's use Cyberpunk as an example. It's shit, and it'll always be shit because it released shit. And I'll always be predisposed to hate it. It's like, well, that's not true, though, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not true. The sky isn't red. Cyberpunk's an amazing game. It's an amazing achievement. Like for what they did with it. I will also say, if you've not played Phantom Liberty and the 2.1 patch, 2.0, 2.1 patch, to like not completion, but like halfway through the game, you probably don't get an opinion on the new game, because the game that I've played is not the game you've played, right? So if you played Cyberpunk in 2022, 2023, even 2023, right? And you say, no, I hate this, and you walk away, and then you say to somebody like me, who only completed it a few months ago, the 2.0 patch with Phantom Liberty installed, no mods, right? And you say to me, it's shit. I'm going, no, mate, you played a different game to me. We didn't play the same game. It's completely, you know, even the hardware, it even runs better. It even, like, on a mid-range PC, like my old PC, I could run it on full everything. Like, everything was turned to max, and it was fine. 60 frames, no problem, you know? And on this machine, it's just like silk. It doesn't even, the machine doesn't even get warm. It just runs it. And 1440p, everything turned to max, 60 frames per second, no slowdown. In fact, it slows down when you're fighting Adam Smasher, you know, because it just can't keep up with all the particles. It's like, what the fuck, you know, all of it's going on. You know, unless you've slowed down time to a crawl and walked around people and sliced off every single one of their limbs, like, we haven't played the same game, dude. Like, we just haven't. I got to the stage where I'm fighting Adam Smasher and I'm throwing knives into his shins and tripping him over and laughing at him in slow motion. It's just the most ridiculously cool thing. You know, and that's before we get into the writing, the quest design, you know, the modifications to you can even mod your cars now to a certain extent. You know, it's a fabulous game. It really is. Doesn't excuse what it was on launch, but just because it was bad at launch doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and go, it's terrible, because it isn't. You know, the sky isn't red. That's what I'm saying, basically. Agent Jitsu, what Cyberpunk says positive geekery. Google it. Scuba, I'm over $5,000 into it. Okay, thoughts on the Netflix anime, says Courts. Brilliant. Here's the thing, Courts, right? I watched that in, like, quite a low time in my life. Not low, like, but I was living with my grandpa. Things weren't going well with him, and I'm lying in bed on a really bad sleeping pattern. And I'm watching it on my phone, right? Because I don't take anime that seriously, I'll be honest. So I'm watching it on my phone, in bed, and I just lay there afterwards, and I just had to think about it. You know, it's one of those things, I just had to think about it. I had to go away and think about it. And then I remember going to the Tesco store next to my house the next night, wandering around buying groceries and just thinking about the story and what was going on in it, and maybe how things could have turned out differently, or, you know, how good the performances were, yada yada, right? That's what I was doing, and that's why I loved it. I thought it was great. And anybody who says that it needed to have a happy ending, you're wrong. Cyberpunk doesn't have happy endings. That's the whole fucking point. The whole point is the system wins, right? You throw yourself at that glass ceiling with all of the vitriol of a shooting star, and you go out in a blaze of fucking glory on your own terms. That's Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk isn't winning. Just like D&D and role-playing isn't winning. It's not about winning, right? It's about deciding to go out on your own terms. Cyberpunk, as Mike Pondsmith says, Cyberpunk as a genre and as a game isn't about saving the world. It's about saving yourself and your friends. You know? The world doesn't care about you. In fact, I think Cyberpunk Red, the tabletop role-playing game, should be more brutal than it is. It should be way more brutal than it is, the Cyberpunk role-playing game. So, you know, you should be dropping like fucking flies, you know? In my opinion. But I did love the anime. I thought it was great. Nice. We are getting there. Ah! There we go. Ringbearer says, I'm halfway through Baldur's Gate 3 and the story is kind of tasteless in my opinion. No hate, but meh. Do you mean tasteless as in, you know, it's like not good morally? Or do you mean tasteless as in it's got no flavour? I can go one or two ways, right? Okay. I think there's one done. I think I'm going to take that off just so I can put some more glue on. There we go. Okay. Get this guy on a base. And we'll call him done for now. I need to do the handle on a sword, but it's kind of done. One done. Awesome. Take a quick break. Generic says, when it comes to Baldur's Gate 3, my biggest issue was with Act 3, where it felt like too much content was shoved into a single act. Which is a weird thing to complain about, but Act 3 had too many bosses. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It is very exhausting. It's like, now we're going to the city, and now we're going to take on this guy, and then there's another guy who's a vampire, and then there's another guy who's a devil, and there's another guy who's a mayor, and there's another... Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. You know. I get that. Yeah. Also, like, the main villain was a bit laughable to me. It's like, the main villain is a massive brain. Okay. Alright then. We all know Where's Wally 2023 edition for the Windows XP is undeniably the best game in the world. Okay. When it comes to Baldur's Gate 3, okay, yeah, I've read that one already. Absolutely. Cyberpunk 2077 is a singular gaming achievement. Next level, indisputable. Okay. I think seminal, like, singular achievement. Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. Singular achievement, yes, I'll go with you on that one. Sam says, my point of reluctance with Baldur's Gate 3 is that to play your classic lawful good paladin in the Forgotten Realms, I find getting along with the Priestess of Shar and a vampire rogue a hard sell. Yeah. Yeah. Well, to be fair, you don't have to, though. That's the thing. You don't have to. You can get rid of them. You can kill them. You can actually, I think you can, as a paladin, say, yeah, I'm not traveling with you because you're just awful people, so I'm going to kill you if you don't leave. I think you can do that. Like, it backs up your decisions. But on the flip side of it, you're also losing content because you're playing a certain character, which is kind of shitty as well. You know. Matthew says, I just logged in to see you shake your hands. I have to do that too, due to carpal tunnel syndrome. I don't have carpal tunnels, thankfully. I think I was making the point Genex says, I played it on PC, but I just cannot get into 2077 at all. Tried it recently and couldn't get back into it at all. CD Projekt Red, on the other hand, I'm really loving, though. Okay? Cyberpunk Red, sorry. You're loving, okay. Edge Runners was stunning. I'm so glad that they added Easter eggs in the game for it. Yes, they did. Hey, Board, how's it going, man? Skeletal says, Red Dead hadn't, and ended so sadly too. It did, but like, that's the whole point. It's the death of the Old West, isn't it? That's the whole point. You know? Board says, for people like us in this city, wrong people. Exactly. There are so many lines in Cyberpunk 2077 that you could put on a fucking boilerplate and be like, wow. And they don't sound like boilerplate things. They sound like something that character would say. Which what I love about the writing. It's like, it's literally... You know, you never roll your eyes going, oh god. You know, like, that was obviously like some sort of Marxist or some sort of, you know, anti-establishment, or they're trying to make a point. No, these are real people talking about real things. You know. I like it, yeah. What build did you have for Cyberpunk 2077? So I played a Corpo guns guy, handgun guy, who was really good at sneaking and really good at using blades. So essentially, he was a corporate operative, essentially. Yeah, you could clear a building in like five seconds. Just you slow down time, one shot everybody, get out towards the end of the game. Mr. Stud, Sam, is in 77, not just in... You can't get a Mr. Stud, but the implant is in 77 as well. Abin Burgle says, Northy playing Chaos Gate right now. How the hell are you, bro? I'm good, man. Thank you. I'm good. Big Bummer says, honestly, one of my favourite games of all time has to be the game For Honor. It plays into the power fantasy of you're a medieval knight, samurai, Viking, or Jade Dynasty warrior, and you have to fight. Yeah, cool. Ringbear says, your build was exactly the same as mine. Cool, man, cool. On the topic of 2077, says Big Bummer, I played a street kid that could bum rush you with a hammer and a shotgun. Nothing's funnier when taking on Adam Smasher with a baseball bat. Yeah, dude, I've seen somebody do it with a dildo. They just beat up Adam Smasher with a dildo. I think you get it by sleeping with Meredith Stout, the Corpo girl. Do you have any knights, North? I don't. I don't. I like to play with more than one model. Or two models. Achieve all this. Alrighty. I think we'll glue these together first this time. Then put them on a base. Alright. We'll do Greaves first. Because they're a pain. There it is. Okay. Okie dokie. One other thing about Loctite that I really like is that it never gets on your fingers, really. Unless you're really careless with it. Hate when that happens. We're gonna need some more glue under the feet, I think. I was using it very sparingly down there. Well, bollocks to it, I'll put some more on. There we go. Legs are done. Derby King says, watching this and drinking an ice-cold Desperado after a long day. Good, man. Desperados are good in the sun. Thoughts on AdMech? I don't really. Like, I don't. I think they're a fine faction. Not really my thing. But I think they're one of the more uniquely 40k factions, which means they have inherent value all the time. You know, there are factions in 40k that you would find in another sci-fi property out there, but you know, this ain't one of them. Like it is really, really, really good. Okay, so one thing I do need to do on the last guy is his nightly tag. Coat of arms. Let's cut this off here. Hang on. There we go. Jobs are good and there we go. Yeah, I think they're pretty cool. In terms of, I think AdMech are pretty cool. Like, I've never really disliked AdMech. I don't think I ever could, because they're just cool. Like, a lot of my autistic friends are into AdMech, so I'd never say much bad about them. I don't find them that interesting. I really like speaking to them in the Rogue Trader RPG, because it's just funny. It's just very, very funny. Especially when you do like things that they don't approve of, or like you say things about technology and they're like, like they're just like, oh, I can't say that, you know. One of the big things about doing the same set a few times is making sure that all of your poses are different, in my opinion. So sometimes you've got to swap the arms around, like I'm going to here. So I'm going to swap the arms around. Like, Blade Guard are low-key one of the better sets the Games Workshop do, in my opinion. You can get a lot of different poses. I would say you could do a unit of 9 with different poses, and you wouldn't be able to tell that, you know, that some of them parts are the same. You know what I mean? Right, we do need a 2 shoulder pads on this bad boy. Huh. Do you prefer working with base paints or contrast paints? Both. Both are good for different reasons, different things. I'll be honest with you. Doing black is much easier with contrast paint. Simply base coat it black, dry brush it grey, dry brush it white, and then put some black contrast paint over the top of it. And you're done. Maybe tidy it up a little bit afterwards. Dominic says, you never got back to me about those Grey Knights. Email me again, man. Probably got lost. Probably got lost in the shuffle. Krasno says, today was a good day for dwarves. Gonna glue some conquest dwarves. Good man. Good man. Big Bummer says, oh, North, have you heard on the wind that the Armageddon Crusade is a win for the Grey Knights? Apparently they tricked the Templars and Wolves into joining them. Maybe. I don't know. I've not read that yet. I've got the book now. Well, I've got the book. I've got a copy of the book squared away anyway. So I'm going to watch Voldemort's video today because I need to know about these things, you know. So I'm gonna do that today. But if it is, I will be very surprised. Okay, and I will also be thinking, yeah, how long is it going to be a win for the Grey Knights for? You know, they could very easily change it. If you know what I'm saying. Very easily. Do you know what? I'm gonna do it and take that off now. Okay. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put some. Thank you very much, Dervikey. The £5. He says, "What advice would you give me to get into teaching PE? I don't have any teaching qualifications, and I'm nearly in my early 20s, but hate work in construction." Dude, you're at the really. You're very lucky to be that age and to be considering teaching. So, teaching PE, university is the place to go, my friend. You're going to have to go and get yourself a sports science degree in your chosen field. Oh. Get yourself a sports science degree in your chosen field. And then you join a course to become a teacher. There are a lot of them in the UK that you can join if you're from the UK. If you don't know what I'm doing here, this is going to basically allow this to branch out from his arm a bit, so it doesn't look quite as... Do you know what I mean? That one's very flush to the... It looked like he was just standing there languidly. I want him to be wide open stance, ready to go, sort of a thing. So that's what we're going to do. Anyway, I'll let that guy dry, and then we can come back to this. But, yeah, so basically you need a degree, and then, most of the time, a master's degree, if you want to be in a good school. You get funding for both. So obviously, with your degree, you get your student loan. So you go to any university, you do sports science. You do a degree in the thing you want to teach, essentially. So you do sports science for you. Maybe even physiotherapy, whatever you want to do. Something to do with sports, anyway. Then once you're finished with that, you go straight into your 2-year master's program, which is also funded by the government. You get £10,000 per year to do that training. And you're doing what's called a secondary education master's. So you're learning how to educate students in your chosen discipline. In your second year of that master's, you will be placed in a school placement, and you will go and train by doing. So basically, you'll be in a school teaching with a mentor there with you, guiding you through the process, who's already a teacher. They'll guide you through the process, and that's when you figure out whether it's for you or not, right? A lot of people drop out at that stage, by the way. They say, right, I've got my degree, I've got my master's degree, I'm going to go do something else entirely, right? Because I don't like these kids. But for you, no, you might be like, yeah, I love it, right? And most of the time in that master's course, you actually end up working at that school. Like, that's... Most people go through that. So they literally say, you know, hey, we like this Dovahkiin guy. He's pretty cool, and he's a good PE teacher, so we'll take him on, right? And that's where you start. So that's basically the process. I would do it. Bite the bullet, man. Do it now. If you don't like working construction, I had this conversation with my grandpa. I was sitting in a pub, and I hated my life at that moment. I just hated it. I was miserable. And my grandpa knew it as well. He knows me better than anybody. He just knew it. I hated working in bars. You know, I'd gotten my degree from Durham. I'd done really well there. But I just couldn't figure out how to, you know, translate it into an actual paying job. And he just said, why haven't you thought about teaching? You're good at it. Like, just do it. And I don't even know why I didn't consider it, but I looked at him and said, why can't you do it? Just go to university. Go back. Go back to it and do it. I think I was afraid of doing it because I thought my family would say, no, you need to work because you need to pay rent and shit like that. But all I needed was one of them to say, no, you can do it. Like, go and do it. It's fine. We'll support you. And so I did. You know, I started at JMU in Liverpool and then ended up going to Chicago to National Louis University, and I got my teaching diploma over there. Never looked back. Honestly, university in your early 20s, man, especially if you've got like a builder's physique, you know, get to the gym, slim down a bit, apply now. Go on UCAS and apply now to get into university. Because that means when you're in like the summer, when you get accepted, you can maybe work until the summer and then take like a month off before you go. You know, get yourself ready to go, and then off you go to university. I'd do it, man. Absolutely. There is a thank you from me. But yeah, make sure you go and do it. Casual Mark says, I just found your channel. Thank you for the $4.99, man. He says, just found your channel, and I'm loving the content, especially the Ultramarines video and the Warhammer Needs More Normies video. Cheers. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much. If you've got a question to ask me, then put it in the chat, and I'll answer it. But thank you. Yeah, we need more teachers, dude. So absolutely, follow that train of thought. Follow that train of thought. It's never worth being miserable. And no amount of money is worth being miserable. This is where me and my ex really differed. Because she said to me, Well, we got into a conversation and we ended up talking like this, right? This came up. I said to her, listen, if I was earning 70 grand a year at a school that I loved, and another school full of ungrateful, nasty kids came and said, we'll give you 100 grand a year to come here, I wouldn't go. Even if I had a family, I wouldn't go. And it blew her mind. She didn't get that at all. I said, what do you mean? Don't you have a responsibility to your family to provide? And I was like, well, I'm already providing on £70,000 a year, so no. And number two, I think I'm providing for my family by not being a miserable twat when I come home. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I am miserable coming home from work, you know, I don't want to play with my kids. I look at my family as a burden. All I want to do is sleep or eat and vegetate in front of the television. I resent my chores. I resent having to spend time with other people because I don't get any time to myself. That's recipe for fucking disaster, man. Like, misery is not the answer. Don't you ever listen to anybody who tells you that you just got to suck it up and not change anything. This is how the world is. No, it isn't. Go change it. No, it isn't. It literally isn't. It's not like that. Right? You've got the means to change. Whether it be a job, career, relationship. The ball's in your court, man. Like, and don't ever let anyone tell you that it isn't. It is. The ball is in your court. I've said it on the channel before. I've had so many false starts in life. Like, when I've thought, okay, here we go. Like, things are kicking off. Things are going to go well for me now. And it hasn't worked out. You know? So many of those. And the minute I stopped trying to chase that, the minute I said, you know what, I just want to be happy. You know? Things started to gel in. Things started to work. Because I wasn't constantly chasing this ethereal happiness, you know? I just wasn't. It didn't interest me anymore. Let that guy dry. There's his helmet, so we'll finish him in a minute. Yeah, it just didn't interest me anymore, and I wasn't prepared to do anything that wasn't going to make me happy. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. And eventually, when the universe did say yes, with where I'm living now, with who I'm living with, right, with my career. Put it this way, like, when YouTube came along, I was still working in schools, right, for the most part. Now, because of YouTube, I've been able to drop a good, like, 20... Well, a good chunk of my in-school hours don't happen anymore because I don't need them, right? That, you know, being in schools was the thing making me fucking miserable, you know? So I looked at my life and I said, right, where can I afford to take a hit here? And when I just started YouTube, I'll be honest with you, right? I'm gonna be open and honest. My first ever check from YouTube, I made £700, right? And this was in the November of 2021. Okay. Now with that £700, I was able to look at my job and go, okay, how many hours can I drop down in the new year if this keeps up? Right? I did the maths, decided, okay, if I get to this point, that's what I'm going to do. And I did. It was sustainable, so I dropped those hours down. I ended up doing more teaching on the internet because I really like doing that. I love doing homeschooling with Asian children and American children who actually are pushing themselves and want to learn. You know what I mean? So because of YouTube, I was able to take that step back and go, okay, now I can do this. Now I can, you know, do this other thing that I like, and I can build up that part of my business because it just relieved the pressure a little bit. You can't live on £700 a month, you know what I mean? But with the other work I was doing, you know, all of a sudden, if I'm doing private tutoring and earning another £800 a month, all of a sudden you're earning a decent living. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I worked it. Slowly but surely. I got myself into a place of balance where I was happy and where all that came along. you know. Still not there, by the way. Still got a long way to go. But, yeah, it's what it is. Krasno says, even the best teachers are leaving. They are, yeah. Last year of studies, even last month. After that, I will find a job, some courses, and think about what to continue to study. Current ones are very, very bad. Yeah. Sonic says, you don't find happiness, it finds you in the end. That's true. That's true. But you have to be very, very, very careful, because a lot of guys will say that and then won't chase things in life. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, man. You're obviously you are, but like, other guys might not. Other guys might see that and go, I'll be fine. What I mean is that I've always looked to like be defined in life. I've always wanted to like have to make people proud. People go, oh, North's doing really well over there. Look at that, right? But the thing is, I'm really proud of what I do. I'm really proud of like teaching, and I'm really proud of like the YouTube channel. But try explaining that to people. They'll be like, what do you do? It's like, I teach people online, yeah, and then I shout about models online. And that's my job. You know. I have really bad imposter syndrome. Like, really, really bad. It's terrible. Like, I wake up every day going, is this the day? Is this the day that the entire internet goes, don't watch this Northern Exile guy, he's a fucking idiot. And then people just stop turning up, and the views go down, and the checks go down, and then I've got to quit YouTube and get a real job. Well, not a real job, but I've got to do more real work because, you know, I can't do YouTube anymore. I fear that day. Do you know when people say to you, oh, your channel has an expiry date, right? Eventually, people are going to stop watching. It's just how it is. I really hope that's not the case, because I love what I do. I love doing the channel. Matthijs says, worked in a factory for 4 years. Great money, job was okay, but management was absolutely shit. I quit. I'm working at a friend's local game store. Pay and benefits are crap, but my mental and emotional health is so much better now. That's the thing, right? That's the thing. How much of a hit can you take responsibly whilst keeping your mental health in check? Whilst living a nice, comfortable life where you're happy. That's what's more important, right? Absolutely. Generic says, forget teaching online. We should start taking life lessons from Andrew Tate. He clearly knows what he's talking about. Such an upstanding guy, I'm sure. Yeah, let's not go there. Yeah. Like the Manosphere has a few reputable people. Right? People like Jordan Peterson, people like that. There's a few of them in there, right? But for the most part, it's something that revolves around fear and misery. And I'll never support something that does that. It preys on... Like, the Manosphere preys on you as a man being insecure and unhappy just as much as a prostitute does. Or OnlyFans, right? Just as much as that. In my opinion. The amount of dudes who've just emailed me with just the worst fucking takes imaginable. It's like, dude. And then they wonder why they're not getting laid. Like, women ain't shit. They're so fucking annoying, and they're all whores, and, you know, they're out for your money, they're out for this, they're out for that, you can't trust them, they all lie, and I'm not getting laid, and I don't know why. Right? And you say, can you just take a step back and just examine what you just said there? Alright. I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm a woman, I don't want to sleep with you either. Because that's really unattractive. Like, your attitude is really unattractive. And you know what they always say? They always say, yeah, but I don't say that to them, to the women. They don't know I feel this way. Yes, they do, mate. Yes, they do. They're far more intuitive than we are. They can feel a bad vibe through several rooms. Several rooms away. They'll go, ooh, bad vibe. Right? I'm serious. If you don't ever think you're pulling the wool over a woman's eyes, if you resent women, they always sense it, and you're never going to get laid. Because I wouldn't have sex with somebody who hated me. Just wouldn't. I wouldn't feel safe, wouldn't want to do it. And I'm a man, right? There's like 0.01% of women who could stand up to me physically. Every other one of them, even if she's trained in martial arts, I turn her into a fucking pretzel. I'm serious. Right? You know? I've seen female bouncers try and throw out dudes, and the dude just like slam them against the floor. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know what I mean? So imagine that person. That person's drunk, inebriated, is falling over, and he still overpowers this woman who's trained to fight. You know, and now imagine that woman now dealing with a guy who hates women, but also wants to get laid. You know what I'm saying? And on the flip side of that, think about what you're saying. Do you have a mother or a sister? Yeah, okay, so all women are lying whores. Really? And I'm sorry, but if my daughter around, if I knew a guy who was out there who was taught like that, she's staying as far away from him as I can manage. You know? Realize the game is rigged. That's all you need to do. Just realize the game is rigged. That's all. Alright? It's not women's fault. They're not all out to get you. There's not some grand conspiracy to stop you from getting your dick wet. It doesn't exist. Okay? The only person stopping you from getting laid is you. That's it. It's not women. A lot of women out there will want to wrap their legs around you, man. I'm just saying. Even if you're not a normal looking dude, there's a lot of women out there who would like to jump your bones. A lot of them. Doesn't matter what you look like. I'm serious. Absolutely serious. I've seen some dog-headed men in my day be with some decent looking women. Right? It ain't about that. It's about how you carry yourself. It's about how you dress. It's about how driven you are. It's about how you smell. That always surprises people, but it is. It's about how you smell as well. It's about how respectful you are, about how look like you've got it all together, you know? It's about how respectful of your own time you are. That's incredibly important, right? You're out with your friends. I'm out having a good time with my friends. That means, you know, you're on my time. And I get that. So, like I did a face reveal over the weekend, and a lot of people, I've had 2 emails so far from guys who I can only describe as disgruntled, right? I don't know why, but guys who were just saying, you don't get to tell me. Essentially, they're very hurt, saying you don't get to give me advice because you don't look like me. I thought you looked like me. You know, these guys have low opinions of themselves when they shouldn't, probably, right? A lot of guys that have emailed me saying I'm ugly, I asked them for an email with a picture of them, and they're not ugly. Right? I'm saying. They're just not. But their own mind tricks them, and then they say, well, this North guy, he lied to me. He's not ugly. Not, to be fair, I've never said I am, but like, you know, they form this parasocial relationship with what they think you are. And then you reveal yourself to them, and they go, wait. You know, it's kind of like, you know, imagine a really good football club, like you know, a really rich football club like Man City or Chelsea saying, hey guys, all you need to do to get women is just have more money. You know, that kind of a thing. So they think the system's rigged again. But dude, like, I'm like a 5, 6 out of 10. Let's be honest. On a good day. On a really good day. 5 or a 6. You know, and I've managed just fine. Ed says, but does that not mean you're on their time as well? Okay, here's the thing, Ed. You're always on their time. They're women. They've got the choice of the bar. If you go out looking to get laid, they're women. They've got the choice of the bar. Everybody there wants to fuck them. By and large. Right? Let's be honest. You know, if a half-decent looking woman puts a hand up in the bar and says she wants to fuck, like, nearly every guy there says me. And most of those guys aren't even single. Because they're just opportunists. You know what I mean? So, you're always on their time. The point is that when I say they're on your time, you're reclaiming that worth. You're saying, okay, well, I'm the same, right? I've got my shit together in life. I'm here with my friends. I don't need you to have a good time. The women in that bar aren't desperate to get laid. They don't need you to have a good time. The minute you operate on that level, that's their kryptonite. That's it. That's done, right? You take away the greatest weapon that your mind has against you is your doubt, your self-worth being checked by people. The minute you say, I'm here to have a good time with my friends and nothing else, is the minute you'll start getting looks from people in the bar. Not every time. Again, this is another thing I've said to people. They go, no, it doesn't. I've gone out and I went out on Friday and tried this and it didn't work. It's like, mate, unless you're Henry Cavill, it's not going to straight away. And I think we can all say, none of us are as handsome as that man, right? It's not going to work straight away. It's going to take a while. It's going to take reps. It's going to take you going out and getting involved and talking to people. You know, going out with your friends once or twice. Once a week. Going out with your friends once a week. Right? For a little while. Just like anything. A lot of dudes want to go out. A lot of dudes want to go out and have instant results. Right? A lot of dudes want to go out and say, hey, I'm trying this thing you've said and it's not working. Just like any skill, anything, going out and getting the attention of the opposite sex is a skill. For most of us, it needs to be a skill. For the Henry Cavills of this world, they don't need that skill because their looks do most of the heavy lifting for them. But for the rest of us, you know, it's a muscle and you've got to exercise it. Right now, for instance, right, I'm doing bicep curls because I like to get more powerful looking arms and a more defined looking chest. So I'm doing exercises. And my biceps have like doubled in size. I've only been doing this for a few weeks, man. And they've nearly doubled in size and I'm really happy, right? But that was hard work. That's 100 to 150 reps a day. 5 kilograms on each arm. Right? It's hard work. But I'm getting the results. Just like that, you can't go out looking to get laid and then be like, well, it didn't work this time, so I'm never doing it again. Like, if you were going to the gym, right, and you were lifting weights and your arms didn't immediately bulk out like Arnold Schwarzenegger, would you just stop lifting weights? Hold all the jokey answers for a bit. Let's be honest, you wouldn't, would you? You're not a retard. You'd be like, well, yeah, it's going to take me a couple of weeks before my arms get bigger. Same thing with going out, man. Exactly the same thing. It's a skill like any other. And those skills can and will atrophy. They will. Can and will. Now, you may be in a position where you're like, that's fine, you know, because you're getting married or you're with somebody that you really love. If that's the case, absolutely, you've won, man. You've done it. But, and I will say this to my missus as well, if other women don't want me, why should you? Right? I speak about this with her all the time. Not all the time, but whenever it comes up. If she notices there's another woman looking at me, she'll maybe get a bit jealous or she'll make a comment. And you know, if I go to the gym and I want to look good, she'll say, well, why do you want to do that? Well, why do you want to look good? You're with somebody now. It's like, well, it's called discipline, right? And it's called having respect for myself. And also, if other women don't find me attractive, why the fuck should you find me attractive? I go to the gym to be worthy of you. Right? I trim my beard. I make sure I smell nice, even if I'm going out and you're not there. Right? Because number one, I'm not led around by my dick. I'm very capable of saying no, and I have said no, right? To other women. Just say, no, I'm not doing that, right? But also, if other women don't want me, why the hell should you? It's another reason why I think if you let yourself go when you get into a relationship, it's not unforgivable, but it's really bad form. It shows a complete lack of respect for your partner, in my opinion. It's like no, dude, no. So what? You're with this woman now, so you're just gonna like say, oh fuck it, I'm not gonna look after myself anymore. Same thing with a woman. It's like what? So this guy's with you now, so you all of a sudden are just gonna like slob out and put on several, like half a stone. Nah. You're supposed to look good for your partner. Like, get out there, look good, go to the gym, better yourself. I might need some green stuff on this bad boy. Might need some green stuff, which I don't have at the moment, but it's fine. Ed says, one could also say it's having a level of self-respect. It is, man. It is. Thing is, like, okay, so the reason why I think a lot of nerds, a lot of dudes who are of nerdy persuasion don't go to the gym, it's not through a lack of self-respect. You know what it is? It's self-hatred. Right? Because to work on something, it's like if you're in a video game, right? And you want to get better, you want your character to get better, but then you go to the gym or you practice or you just get better at something, right? Now, if you are yourself and you don't have any respect for yourself or you don't have any love for yourself, then you don't want to work to get better. Why? Because you don't think you deserve it. You don't think you deserve to get better. You don't think you deserve to have nice things, right? Which is complete bullshit, because you do. So that's the reason why I think a lot of nerds don't go to the gym. Yeah, it's not through fear. It's not because they fear Chad will laugh at them or anything like that. They're not going to the gym because they don't like themselves. And they don't think they deserve to get better. They think they deserve to be in the basement. They think they deserve to be out of the limelight. Right? Kill it with fire. That kind of a thing. Can you see now what I meant by that one little bit that I glued on? Now his arm looks like he's in a ready stance rather than just his arm just languidly sitting there. Right? That's what I meant. See what I mean? Frank says, a woman asking why go to the gym is like asking a woman why she likes nice clothes or makeup, because of how we want to be perceived and how it makes you feel about yourself. Same answer. Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Why do you put makeup on when you go out? Yeah. Why do you put makeup on when you go out then? If I can't go to the gym and do my weights, what I'm saying. Scuba says, to be honest, it's hard going to the gym without a buddy to encourage you. That's half my problem. I need accountability for working out. Dude, I put in an audiobook, and I'm away. That's all I do. Audiobook. Audiobook goes in, world goes off. That's it. Audiobook goes in, world goes off. And that's the end of that bullshit. You know? All you need to do to lose weight is half an hour a day of elevated heart rate. That's it. That's all you need to do. Half an hour a day. So if you're the same age as me, you're in your 30s, your heart rate needs to be at 130 per minute. Right? 130. Now, if you can keep it at 130 for half an hour, you're in the fat burning zone. Your body's literally burning fat. You do that for half an hour a day, coupled with a lack of carbs in your diet, you're going to drop weight like crazy. It flies off you, man. It flies off of you. It's not difficult. For guys, it's not difficult. Women, I think we have one who's Court. Is she here? I think Court is here. Like, for women, it's more difficult. You know, their bodies don't want to lose weight, and it fucking sucks. Like, the metabolisms just don't work the same way ours do. A man just needs to, like, feign losing weight, and he'll lose weight. You know what I mean? Unless you got some sort of glandular problem or something. But a man just needs to go, right, I want to lose weight, and he puts some effort into it, and he will lose some weight, and you'll get, you know, a lot of encouragement from that. Women, not the same. Women, it's difficult. It's difficult to lose that weight. It really is. It absolutely is. Ticey says, you can have my carbs when you pry them from my cold, sweaty, fat hands. Dude, if you're happy being you, fucking go for it, man. Don't ever deprive yourself of happiness because there's some douchebag like me saying, hey, bro, you gotta be super healthy, bro. No, if you're happy, be happy, right? But don't come whinging to me when you die of heart failure, or when you're upset because you're fat, right? I'm not saying you are fat, but like, you know, you see it all the time. Dudes going, well, I wish I wasn't so fat. All right, well, put the cookie down. No. Well, you know, men are supposed to run on logic, and that's the most illogical fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like my overall mental health has gotten so much better since I've lost some weight. Like, I lost nearly 3 stone. You know, my mental health has been so good since. Like, it's really gone up, you know. But it's not for everybody. Like, it isn't. Like, it's not, you know. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Especially... Ow. Hit me in the face. Especially if you use losing weight as a substitute for your personality, right? And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying you don't have a personality. What I mean is, you've got other things you need to work on that are more pressing than losing weight. You know what I'm saying? It might be a mental issue, it might be a trauma issue, but there are things you need to work on that are beyond your waistline. You know what I mean? Sam says, seeing my uncle get wrecked by a stroke has been hell of a... Yeah. Strokes are no fucking joke, man. Like, you know, they are absolutely no joke whatsoever. It's not so much what they do, it's what they can leave you with. That's terrifying. You know what I mean? It's what they leave you with. Like, they can leave you with nothing. Like, you literally, you can't move, you can't, you know, you got brain damage. By the way, there's 3 Blade Guard. Done and dusted. Look at that. Awesome. Insufficient Data says, I started working on lawn care job when I'm walking every day, and I dropped a fair bit of stomach size. Still the same weight, though. Yeah, because you packed on muscle. Yeah. I've been getting really annoyed because my weight has stayed the same the past couple of days. But then, like, when I went to the gym, the dietitian in there was like, yeah, but you put on muscle in your shoulders and your arms. So that's, yeah, your weight is not going to go... Your belly's gone down, but your weight's gone up. You know? What kit are the heads from? Blade Guard. Blade Guard. But there we are. 3 Exiled Blades. Blade Guard. Who will be on our tournament on the 21st. I need to do the mold lines on the helmets, but I wanted to get them built. I think we can get the other 3 as well, just to make it look. There we go. Casual Mark says, do you have a custom Space Marine chapter? I do, the Exiled Blades. They will be getting a lore video very, very soon. A lady I know is facing a foot amputation due to diabetes. Dude, my grandpa went through the same thing. My grandpa went through the same thing. One of his toes had to come off. It's horrible. Definitely a wake-up call. I'm not fat, just a big dude. A refocusing of my priorities is in check. Well, good for you, Scuba, for realising that. Frank says, years ago, I got a job at an auto auction. It had a huge lot with thousands of cars. I walked a lot all day, basically lunges while inspecting cars. I lost over 30 pounds. Damn straight, man. And you're earning money at the same time. Killing it. Right. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm going to switch the camera off so I can get all this put away. And then I'll switch the camera back on, and I'll be face to face. So give me a sec. May still be able to hear me. But, yeah. Excellent stuff. There's 6 Blade Guard done over the weekend, so I'm happy. I'll be priming these next week when I've gotten the mold lines gone. When the mold lines are gone, I'll then green stuff anywhere that needs to be filled in, because there will be 1 or 2 spaces. Let that dry, and then primed, and then painted, and then we're pretty much done. We've then got 1 unit left to do for the Exiled Blades, so happy about that. Knock that over there. Right, give me a sec. Alrighty. I am back. Okay. Let's turn this on. Hello. How is everybody? Oh. Have you seen my t-shirt? How cool is that? Yakuza cat. He watches you sleep. Oh. How did my mouse get over there? There we go. Early day tomorrow to renew my driver's license. Well done. Well done to you for renewing it. I'm meeting. I'm missing pizza from that samurai cat. Hmm. Scuba says, I sent in a couple of Hobby Nightmares the other day. Hope they make the cut. They probably will do. They probably will do. I mean, it depends on what day it's going to be, really. Rather than me not doing them or doing them. I will do them. It depends on what day, though. Eric says, started at £235, now £231 after 2 weeks. I'll be using ChatGPT to track macros and calories. Good lad. Good lad. Excellent. £2, like £4 isn't a lot. But it depends on your diet, right? So, like, I've had it where let me put the light on 1 sec. It's a bit dark in here. Oh, it's better. There we go. Now you can see me. So, I'd say like £4 isn't a lot, but it also depends on what you're eating. Okay, so like for instance, when I got back from a night out earlier on this year, I had put on a few pounds up to I was like 16 stone 12. I was really depressed, and then I was really good for 2 days. Went to the gym. No, I didn't go to the gym even. I just ate really low carbs for 2 days. Ate loads of stuff. I ate loads of meat and veg, and I dropped £5 in 2 days. So you can do it. You know, you can do it really quickly. So I think you should probably, like, you look like a normal looking guy in terms of your profile picture there. So I'd look at what you're eating, dude. Look at what you're eating. I think you'd be surprised. You know? Floppy just says, who the hell is this guy that isn't who I imagine with the voice? I get that a lot. I think a lot of people were expecting some sort of bearded, you know, angry man shouting at a cloud. Which I kind of am, actually, thinking about it. Sam says, was doing some hobbing myself, but it was spent browsing about third-party sites to get some actual shields fitting for Space Wolves. Cool. Making sure that's up where it needs to be. Scuba says, low carbs is hard. I love potatoes and bread and pasta too much. You do until you're not eating them. I will say that. You miss those carbs until you're not eating them anymore. Then all of a sudden, it's not that much of an issue. Just then he says, focus on protein and healthy fats. It forces your body to use more energy to burn it as well. Yes. So protein, healthy fats, like the fat you get on a steak. Very good. Right? Less carbs, less wastage. Like low carb diets for men are a cheat code. They're just a cheat code. Like it doesn't work that well for women, but for men, dude, it is a fucking cheat code. Like you drop weight like nobody's business. You know? Especially if you swap a lot of that for protein and meat. And you do weights too. Nah, man, you give it a month. Just give it a month. Give it a month of less than 100 grams of carbs a day. Replace all of your fizzy drinks with either water or cordial. You know, cordial juice with no sugar, right? And eat all of the meat you want. And eat all of the veg you want. Eat all of the fish that you want. As much as you want. And you can still have some carbs, under 100 grams a day. So you can have your all bran in the morning. You can have your whatever, right? And go to the gym every day, 5 days a week, half an hour, 45 minutes. You will lose weight. You will lose a lot of weight. You could lose up to about a stone, like 13 pounds to 15 pounds in a month. Quite easily. I did low carb for a bit and got pretty ripped and veiny. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Eric says, I aim for 125 grams of protein. I've been as high as 260, but I find if I go too aggressive, I bounce back. That also happens with low carbs. Yeah. If you go... This is why I say that the keto diet, whatever it is, doesn't really work. Because as soon as you stop the diet, you know, you're pretty much fucked. As soon as you stop, you're fucked. That's what I'm saying. Peter says, yeah, the going out part is the problem for me. Yeah. Dude, look at the size of my fucking arm. I just noticed that on the stream. Did you see that? I'm too bashful to do it again, but that's fucking look at the size of that thing. I'm going to rewind. That's awesome. That's awesome. The thing is, Peter, the thing is that liquid carbs are kind of okay. You can go out once a week and have like several beers and be fine. Throughout this entire process, that's what I've done. Yeah, I go out once a week with friends, I have several beers, right? But there are a lot of carbs in beer. There's like 20 carbs per beer, whatever it is. But you can get away with it. As long as you're a good boy about other things, you can get away with it. Hikari says, the fastest way to lose weight is just like run for 20 to 30 minutes a day or swimming. Burns fat like crazy. It does. It does. It does. Also, the exercise bike works really well. Positive says, I lost a stone in about a week. My trainer Beth was amazed. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. If it's liquid, you piss it out. Yeah, so... And that's another thing with water. Taking on more water. Is you will find you will lose weight very quickly, but you don't really notice it in your body because your body's getting rid of all the excess water. It's a lot of water weight you lose. Yep. Compound movement with weights. Yep, exactly. Jason Momoa did something similar. He loves Guinness and a can or two was part of his diet. Yeah. Yeah, dude, like, men's bodies are weirdly forgiving. You know? We're weirdly forgiving. You can have 1 or 2 beers a week, no problem. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. And you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Sam says, I find cutting down on sugar does a lot for me. Yeah. Dead squat, lift, pull-ups, bench press, etc. Yeah. 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 That's gone off. Peter says, what does me in is potatoes and pasta. And then my mother makes cake every 3 to 4 days, and my father brings tons of ice cream. They never gain fat, and they're past 70, and I weigh more than a hog. Mm-hmm. Chocolate doesn't have as much carbs in it as you'd think. I always thought, oh shit, like chocolate. Oh man, that's going to be so bad. It's nowhere near as bad. That bad. It's not good, but it's not that bad at all. Scuba says, I still argue the most athletic people on this planet are ballet dancers. They are. Absolutely are. So I was sitting in a hospital waiting room once, right? And there's an old woman there. She's about 70, 80. And she just gets her leg and puts it behind her head. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And she said, oh, I used to do ballet. I was like, why did you put your leg behind your head? I said, it's easier to get to my bag. My bag was underneath the seat. It was just easier. We were quite slightly packed in, you know. Mental. For an 80-year-old woman, she was kind of like, she wasn't good looking or anything, but you could tell, like, in her day, you'd be thinking, wow, she must have been stunning. And I was thinking, there's some flexibility there, let me tell you. Rex says, my max deadlift is a respectable 365, but my bench is 85. So 185. So I again, like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm doing right now I'm doing 100 reps a day at 5 kilograms in each arm. So, and that's bulking my shoulders and my arms, and my stomach's getting flatter as well. I don't know how that's working, but apparently it is. So, yeah. Like, I'm shocked at how big I was. I only realize how big I was now when I look back at my photographs from, like, 2021, 2022. I'm like, fuck, man, like, that wasn't good. I carried it well, weirdly. I did carry it well. But when I look at myself now to back then, I'm like, Jesus, man. Jesus. You know. Ikari says, also remember, y'all, fat is lighter than muscle, so if you get heavy while working out regularly, it may just be that you're building muscle at the same pace that you're burning fat. Exactly. I've gotten very downhearted at certain points this week because my weight hasn't gone anywhere, even though I've eaten really well and been to the gym, but I'm putting on muscle. Right? So putting on muscle, it weighs more. So in fact, you are losing weight. Even though your weight stays the same, you're losing fat. You're just replacing it with muscle, which is heavier. Mali says, do you miss football yet, North? 1 week since the season ended, and I don't know what to do with myself. Dude, I love football. But at the same time, I miss it momentarily. That's what I'm saying. Like, so every now and again, I'll miss it. You know? Every now and again I go, oh, could just do with that. But saying that, I support Everton, so I don't really miss football very much at the best of times. It's like one less thing to worry about. Hooray! So yeah. Just a passerby says, chocolate is the best with 70 to 100% cocoa. Yeah. Peter says, I need to find a reason to go out aside from doctor visits. I haven't been out in over a year. Well, dude, Sort that out. Sort that out. You don't need a reason. Just fucking go for a walk. Put an audiobook in. Elric of Melibone. Elric of Melibone by Michael Moorcock. Download it. It's free on Audible. It's free on Audible. Go and download it. Elric of Melibone. Brilliant fantasy novel. Download that. Go for a walk. Got your orders. Stuff and Stuff says North likes gilfs. Dude. Like the... yeah. Give me a... Absolutely. 2 words. Nina Hartley. Google her. Abso-fucking-lutely. Nothing wrong with a bit of experience. I'll be honest with you, I'm weird. Like, I'm more attracted to that than I am to, like, 20-year-olds, honestly. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, a woman that age, just, like, a woman in, like, her 40s, 50s knows how to carry herself if she's, like, in that way. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Or I'm just a degenerate. I don't know. We'll see. Hikari says, it's crazy seeing pictures of your grandparents when they're like 25 or whatever and they're built like Chads and Stacey's. Yeah. Yeah, my grandpa was, he looked kind of like, what, like a Charlton Heston looking motherfucker, you know what I mean? Like lantern jawed, strong jaw, strong cheekbones, muscles. Yeah. Yeah. Purity says, I think I read comics about Elric in the 80s. Is he the immortal dude with the sword? I don't think he's immortal. He's a sickly dude. Do you know Malus Darkblade from Warhammer? Yeah, he's stolen from Elric. He's basically Elric. Almost exactly the same story, right? Apart from there's no demon in Elric. The demon's in the sword and it drinks the blood of his enemies and his allies. You know. Sergio says, oh, Monica Bellucci. Yeah, dude, yeah. Monica Bellucci. 60 years old, but holy crap, still looks really good for her age. Dude, yeah. Monica Bellucci, Salma Hayek. Who's that one from Modern Family? Sofia Vergara. These are all women in the 50s. But they'd fuck your brains out. like they'd fuck your brains out. So yeah. What do you really want? Do you want like a 20-odd-year-old celebrity? Like Sydney Sweeney's gorgeous, but she's just gonna lie there. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. You'd last about 5 seconds, and she's just gonna lie there because her body does the work for her, right? The hotter the woman is, the more lazy they are, in my experience. They don't need to do anything. Just lie there. Just lie there. Just how it is. You know? But you get the older lady, your Sofia Vergara's, your Salma Hayek's, you know. These are people who are like, wow, this 20-year-old's gonna have sex with me? Wow, I better bring my A game. And they do. Do you know what I mean? Like, also, a lot of old women don't realise how hot they are. Happens all the time. In a bar, restaurant, whatever. Old ladies have no idea how hot they are, if they are hot. They're like, no, I couldn't possibly. I'm not very... I don't have that in me anymore. Ooh, no, you know. But give them a bit of attention. Or just flirt with them outrageously, man. It works every fucking time. If you're in your 20s or 30s, and you see a hottie and you think she's in her 50s, go for it. Go for it. You know, if she's not married, she's going to go for it. And even if she is, she might actually go for it because, you know, you're like 20, you know, or 30. I don't know. It should be the law. If you're a young man, from the ages 18 to like 25, you should be dating at least one woman who's 20 years older than you. It should just be the law, right? It's like finishing school. It's finishing school. They teach you your shit. They teach you all the amount. So I dated a lot of older women when I was younger, mainly because they like gave you the tricks of what younger women do. So like, yeah, if she says this, she means this, and if she does this, she means this, right? I had one called Amanda. She was South African, and she, in no uncertain, and this is another thing that older women do. They let you know where you stand straight away. They're like, okay, I am just out of a relationship. We are not going to get married. We are not going to get into a relationship. I'm using you for your penis. That's it. That's it. Okay? Good. Right. So you give them what they want, and they give you what you want. But also, Amanda would literally be like, she'd encourage me to go on dates. So this is a woman I'm sleeping with, and she would actually encourage me to go and find girls, go out on dates. She would go out on the pole with me. Do you know what I mean? We'd go to town together. And she's like, listen, you know, I'm not up for it tonight. Not like, but let's go out as friends. Hey, she's nice. Why don't you go speak to her? Let me go talk her up for you. Shit like that. Older women will do that. Because it's fun. It's like, yeah. I just want to have fun. It's awesome, man. And when those women would like do my head in, she'd go, okay, what did she say to you? And I'll say, oh, she said it'd be okay and that, this and that and the other. And she would say things like, oh, well, if she says that, then she means this. That's it, you know. You had to get really good advice from her as well. And she ended up getting back with her husband. And you know what? I was actually happy for her. I wasn't like bitter or angry or whatever. You know, she wasn't cheating on him, by the way. They'd split up. They were separated. But she ended up getting back with him. And she said to me, look, you know, I don't mind texting, but we can't meet up anymore because obviously, you know, we've slept together and that wouldn't be appropriate. So I'm really sorry. And I was like, you know what? I'm honestly really happy for you. That's amazing, and you deserve all the happiness in the world. You really helped me like be more confident and be more expressive. And she sent me it wasn't a voice note, it was a voicemail. Really teary, just being like, "That's so nice," and all the best to you as well. Like, you know, it was such a really cool friendship. You know, it was really, really cool. But again, older women know exactly what they want. Exactly. There's no bullshitting, and the ones who are bullshitting, you know, they're crazy. So you can see them coming a mile away. But most of them will know exactly what they want. There's no bullshit. There's no nothing. It's just like literally, you know. Boar says, hey, North, really excited about the CPR campaign. Looked at your GM's channel. Had some great stuff. Yeah, he does. Yeah. John the Wise, he does, man. He's cool. He's really cool. Yeah. Just to pass it by, say, there are people that claim that The Witcher was an Elric ripoff. No. So... Geralt's similar to Elric, but only superficially. Only superficially. I know Rageaholic did a video on it back in the day, which was quite compelling until I read into it. When I read both the books, I've read all the Witcher books, and I'm halfway through with the Elric books right now. The similarities are superficial, right? The people who stole Elric of Melibon, whatever that fucking word is, right? The people who stole that are Games Workshop. Not The Witcher. Right? Games Workshop stole that shit. Malus Darkblade is Elric with black hair. He's Elric with black hair, man. That's all he is. And he's still my favourite character. That's how cool Elric is. Purity says, I quit trying to finish school at 48. All my family are academics. For over 200 years. Took them half a century to realise that I'm special. Skeletal says, can confirm all women are rad. My whole family, me included, married women who were at least 4 years older. Damn right you did. Damn right you did. Alright, let's have a little look at this cyberpunk thing, because I have a very, very special thing that I've been working on past few days. Here we are. Boom. Cool, huh? That's the shit. That's the shit. So, we're going to be doing a full role-playing campaign. And we're going to be using Tabletop Simulator to run it. And when I say Tabletop Simulator, the things John can do with Tabletop Simulator is amazing, right? There's full 3D maps. We're surrounded by Night City when we're in it. It looks really cool. There's rain effects in it. I'm shitting up. There's rain effects and sound effects and all sorts in there. What we're aiming for with this campaign is Cyberpunk 2077, 10 years in the future. So you don't need to wait for the sequel to CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077. Right? That's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for this to be the unofficial sequel, to tide our communities over until that game releases. So you're going to see Night City 10 years on from the game. You know? Like the Night City that the V left behind. So it's also going to be an excuse for all of you to replay that game if you want to. You can replay the game to get ready to watch 2087. Right? Will there be cyber clowns? Yes. Yes. The bozos, yes, they will be in this. I'm guessing. It's John's campaign, but we're in Cyberpunk Red, so I'm guessing there will be bozos, yes. Yeah. Board says, would you be surprised more to hear in the Armageddon War the Space Wolves are beefing with the Black Templars, not the Grey Knights? Yeah, that does surprise me. I've got to read that. But I will get to it. What ending was the most canon? So that's something that me and John have to work on because he's the GM. He's the game master. But I'm thinking, because I went to him with the project, so we go back and forth on a lot of things on how the world's going to be designed. And then so what we're going to do is I'm going to help him design what's going on, the overworld, and then I'll step back and be like, right, now I'm a player, that's now yours to deal with. You build it from there. So I'm thinking probably Corpo V is canon. Corpo V is canon. I'm thinking male Corpo V is probably canon, who romanced Panam. And I think the Don't Fear the Reaper ending is canon, right? So V attacks Arasaka on his own, with Johnny there in his head, obviously. Takes down Arasaka, and he leads an assault on the Crystal Palace later on, and then disappears. Right? We don't know where he's gone. He could be alive, he could be dead. We don't know. I think we're making a rule that V doesn't appear in 2087, right? Because we can show you the decisions V made, like the ending decision, Don't Fear the Reaper, is him taking it. It's the most. The reason why it's a hidden ending in Cyberpunk 2077 is because it's canon, right? If you want the canon ending to Cyberpunk 2077, you've got to jump through a few more hoops in the game to get that ending. Don't Fear the Reaper ending, where you attack Arasaka on your own with Johnny, right? I firmly believe the canon ending to Cyberpunk 2077 is the solo assault on Arasaka. Johnny and V attacking Arasaka together. And then V going after the cure in space on the Crystal Palace. We don't get to see that. The game cuts off before we get to see it, right? But it's left up to your imagination. Does he get the cure? Does he not get the cure? And we're not even going to give you an answer, right? I firmly believe that's going to be one of the design things. Like we're not going to give you an answer to that. That's your story. V's story is yours. We don't touch V in 2087. He's gone. He or she is gone, right? They might be dead. In fact, if they didn't get a cure, they will be dead, right? So they're either dead, or they found a cure and retired, went somewhere else, with Panam probably. Or if you're a female V, you know, Judy or whatever, right? So that's what we're doing, you know. I'm thinking we will have cameos, so you might get people like Victor Vector, you might get people like, you know, who was still there at the end? I don't know. Well, Vic was still there. You know. What happened to Songbird and Reeve in your campaign? Well, that's another one where you do get a lot of choice of what happens in it, but it doesn't really matter by the time you get to 2087. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. In my one, I sided with Reed because I didn't trust Songbird at all. Like, at all. And, yeah, so we went and got Songbird and she went back to the NUSA. Yeah. Piota says, Night City is big. You can have a whole life story without the characters being directly involved in the whole V story. That's true, but we don't want to touch on V, mainly because, again, that's your story, and the minute you start with V, mentioning V and what happened to him or her, you start going down a rabbit hole. Do you know what I mean? At the minute you start, we're going down that rabbit hole. I don't want that. I want your V story to be your V story. So we'll cover the basics of what happened, right? Just so people can see, okay, this is the canon that we went with. That's it, though. That's all we do. This is the canon we went with. And once you know that, you can see that, then we can, you know, sidestep the rest. Say, okay, that's that done. We don't need to do any more. You want to give just enough, is what I'm saying. Just enough, but not too much. Yeah, you want just enough. I think it's going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be good. I was so impressed by Tabletop Simulator when he showed it to me and what it can do. Like, I honestly think this is going to be a fantastic campaign. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of good stuff out of it. And I think the aim is for all of you to be able to watch it and be like, okay, I can see this is a... How do I put it? This is a plausible cyberpunk, you know... It's a plausible cyberpunk game, right? You can actually watch it and go, hey, you know, I get this. This is cool, right? That's my opinion, anyway. That's the aim. That's the aim. That's what we're going for. We're going for that. And we'll see if it works. We'll see if it works. I think it will. I think we'll be fine. I think we'll do really well. Again, because John isn't somebody who is a, shall we say, novice. He knows the setting really well, and he knows what he knows what he's about. So I think it's going to be cool. I've got no idea when we're going to start it yet, but we are still taking applications for players. I know, Board, you've applied, which is great, and I'll get back to you very soon. I'm waiting for everybody to get back to me on applications. We'll be taking on 1 or 2 players, but that is the main thing anyway. So there's the party going to be just you and 2 of the fans. No, what we're going to do, we're going to have a party of me, 2 other role players that I know who are very good, or maybe 1 who is very good, but we'll see, and 1 or 2 fans is going to be it, right? I'm thinking it might be 1 guy that I know really well who is a really good role player, and then 2 fans and me is the party. So a party of 4. A party of 4. My character is already set, by the way, so my character's already pretty much done. So we're pretty much finished with my character, so he's ready to go. But it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. It's a summer campaign, so again, it's not going to be, we're not going to be waiting till, like, you know, the winter or next year. No. It's summer. It'll be happening probably after Exile Fest. So after Exile Fest, we'll probably get going. We'll probably start this. That'll be what we're doing. What are the time frames? I work in hospital, so my hours aren't good. So in terms of sessions, it's going to be once a month, or twice a month if we can manage it. Twice a month if we can manage it, but once a month on a weekend, and it will be pretty much that. Yeah, once a month on a weekend, probably Saturday. Our GM is in LA, so he will be doing it at about 12 midday, so it'll be about 8 p.m. UK time. 9 p.m. UK time. And every session will go on for about 3, 4, maybe even 5 hours, depending. Will this game be played on your channel? Yes. Live, on live stream. It will be. Live. And on John John's channel too. So it'll be on John the Wise's channel, live streamed. And it'll be on my channel, live streamed as well. We even have our first, my amazing dude, my amazing thumbnail dude, called James, did a really good cyberpunk, where is it? First episode thumbnail, which I thought was really cool. There we go. So your first episode's going to have this as the really cool thing about the campaign as well is that, you know, we've looked into what the main threats are going to be in Cyberpunk 2087. So what were the main threats in 2077? Okay. What were the main threats? What was happening? Well, the AI was coming into it, wasn't it? So we had AI on its way. Really rearing its ugly head. We had Arasaka on the verge of complete annihilation. Okay. So all of these things were in place at the end of Cyberpunk 2077. So 10 years on, those things would have developed into, like, big things. So we'll see what the campaign's going to have in it. I'm thinking, again, I don't have anything to do with this. This is out of my wheelhouse. This is all John the Wise. This is all him, right? But I'm thinking he's going to go down the AI route. I'm thinking we're going to uncover some sort of conspiracy going on. We will be starting off as low-level street dudes, right? We're going to be there doing jobs, essentially. But I'm thinking we'll be pulled into some grander conspiracy as things go on. But yeah, that's gonna be the campaign, and it will be probably start of July. I'm thinking, so maybe in a month's time, we'll be starting our adventure in Night City. So July, August will be the time frame. It might even be, I might even push for Saturday the 20th of June when we start. I might do that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because my dinner's going to be here pretty soon. I'm starving. But I love you a long time. I will speak to you tomorrow for some more Hobby Nightmares. Tomorrow's Hobby Nightmare is going to be fucking awesome, by the way. Let me just give you a preview of tomorrow's Hobby Nightmare, because I was like, this is incredible. Literally. Literally. Tomorrow. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Alright? I'm not joking. And to be honest with you, I was really skeptical about this one. You'll have to listen to it to know what I'm talking about. You'll have to listen to it, but like I literally was just like, dude, like I think this happened. I was so ready to call it bullshit, but I think it happened. So tune in tomorrow for that. I will speak to you tomorrow for some Hobby Nightmares. I will be in the chat saying hello to everybody. So I'll see you soon. Have a good one. I'll see you later. Bye now.